Hi, welcome to Pennsylvania Newsmakers, and as always, thanks for watching. Well, big spending and big deficits in Washington. Financial Analyst Rob Morgan will analyze. Then, Pennsylvanians lead the way in the Haitian relief effort. Pennsylvania government and politics, in depth and in detail, and it all starts right now.
This is Pennsylvania Newsmakers, a fast-paced, unrehearsed weekly discussion with and about the leaders who shape your world. And now, here's your host, Terry Madonna.
Hi, welcome back to the program. Well, the State of the Union message delivered this past week. President Obama talked a lot about budgets, not so much about deficits. Rob Morgan is here, financial analyst. Well, Rob, let's get right to it. We're standing at not unparalleled debt, but certainly at least debt to gross domestic product ratio. You guys are all into that debt. Explain that for our viewers. Why should we care about how much debt we had compared to how much we produce? Go ahead.
Well, Terry, I think the important thing there is that the absolute number of debt can continue to rise. But if our GDP is going up faster, then we can sustain that debt. But you and I talked during the break about a $1.3 trillion deficit, and whatever standard you measure that by, that's a big number. That's
this year, and then expected to be about the same next year, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
So
sure.
I guess the big question is, we're in a recession, and look, you're a financial analyst. You know that someone has to finance our way out of debt. I mean, consumers have to start to spend. Banks have to start to lend. Was the president right when he suggested, taking the unused money from the payback, I guess I should say, that the financial investment houses made, to put it, to shift that money to community banks to begin to have more?
That's kind of the whole financial services overhaul situation, Terry. It's a really interesting situation. A couple of weeks ago, the Federal Reserve announced that they had record earnings for 2009, $45 billion. It's the most they've ever made in the 95-year history.
How did they do that?
Well, they became investors in the big banks.
That's right.
And it's funny. I think most viewers think that with the bank bailout, this was just money that went to the banks, never to be seen again by the government or us as taxpayers. The government actually became a big investor, and in a way, the government has made all the money back that they sent to banks, and then some. Yet the president in the State of the Union last night mentioned putting a fee on banks, and ultimately that's passed on to you and me and the viewers as consumers. So I'm somewhat troubled by that piece of legislation that's working its way through.
All right, now the president made some modest steps last week during the speech when he towards reducing the deficit. Let's put it that way. When he suggested that there be a curtailment of spending, a freeze on spending in effect, and there have been some criticisms of that based on the argument that we're really only talking about $250 billion out of a several trillion-dollar deficit, and it really will just lock in place increases. What do you think about the freeze? Is it something? And then he wants to spend additional money on middle-class assistance, tax credits and other things.
Right.
Talk about that relationship.
Well, I think the freeze, and you were kind of hitting the nail on the head there. I think the freeze in the end is probably going to be insignificant because as you said, the budget is $3.5 trillion, and we're talking about saving $250 billion. So it's really less than a percent. And even the president's own party has attacked him for doing this, and of course the other party, the Republican Party, is saying, oh, you got to do a lot more. So they're not touching defense, and then they're not touching the real sacred cows, Social Security, Medicaid.
Right.
We need to have a serious discussion about reform in those areas.
And I don't think anybody expects, that we'll really be able to contain spending until somehow, some way, we get a handle on health care costs. Now, obviously, this debate over how we move forward with comprehensive national health care has roiled the public, and probably responsible in part for some of the Democratic losses earlier this year. But I don't think there's any doubt that with waste inefficiency and fraud in these two programs that we cannot continue to have those programs expand, meaning their coverage, without, go ahead, figuring out a way to get rid of,
we have to have reform there, and in fact, I think the major disconnect in healthcare reform is really economic. This is my opinion. I think the American public wants reform that slows the cost increases of healthcare, and the message, and perhaps that's what the administration wants too. But I think the message that's coming out is they just want to cover more people, for better or for worse.
All right, shifting gears to spending again. There are some suggestions, and we'll see, as to whether there should be a second stimulus. There is now a second jobs bill moving through Congress. How large the jobs bill, and should there be a stimulus added to that? Is this a good idea?
Well, a second stimulus is planned or talked about because job growth has been so slow. And, we've had structural changes in the economy, the national economy, over the last 30 years. When we were a manufacturing economy, we had bust-boom cycles. CEOs would see a recession coming, they'd lay people off, and then they'd hire a whole bunch back when the economy recovered. Now we're a service economy. We do more just-in-time inventory planning. So that's why job growth for the last several recessions has been slow. Now, one nugget that came out of the State of the Union last night related to this is the tax credit for small businesses to hire.
Good idea?
It might be. Whenever the government gets involved in the whole hiring process, I get a little nervous.
But at least it's indirect. I mean, at least it's not the government saying, we're hiring the people, or we're directing it by giving it a tax credit. I mean, typically tax credits are sort of Republican ideas, fiscal spending, or Democratic ideas. So in that way, the president sort of did tilt a bit towards what Republicans.
I think that was the best idea that came out of the State of the Union last night. And will it work? Or it's never been tried before.
All right, but before I let you go. Market prospects, I'll tell you, I can't figure this out. The market has a big increase over last year. Was it up, what, about 40%?
Yeah.
And then it's dropped now in the past couple of weeks. Give us a 30-second overview. What? Give us your...
Well, obviously the government really did the stimulus last year, revived the economy, and now people are expecting that consumers and corporate spending will pick up the slack and things will just go along smoothly. And I do think we're out of recession. I don't think we're falling back in, but it's not going to be a smooth transition. So we're probably going to get a slight pullback for stocks. Long term, I think the outlook for stocks looks pretty good. But short run correction.
Before I let you go, financial analyst. You've done a lot nationally. You're on. Give us some. Come on, self-promotion here.
CNBC, Fox Business News, Bloomberg TV, once or twice a week. Usually.
You're a regular. There you are. Rob Morgan in the house, giving us a good update. All right, Pennsylvanians lead the way in Haitian relief efforts, something you might not know about. You're going to find it out. Find out more about that after these words.
This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is presented by the Pennsylvania Chamber of Business and Industry, the statewide voice of business. This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is presented by PAConstructionJobs.com. For more information about rewarding careers in the highway construction industry, visit PAConstructionJobs.com. And by the Pennsylvania Manufacturers Association. Business in Pennsylvania is our business.
Hi, welcome back to the program. Well, we're going to talk a little bit about what some Pennsylvanians are doing to assist in the Haitian relief effort. Joining me is the president of Kutztown University, Javier Cevallos. He's been actively involved. His campus and the state system of higher education has been actively involved in Haitian relief effort. Mr. President, welcome.
Thank
you like that Mr. President, right?
Sounds what you're not in.
I know, but I like that. At any rate, some time ago, we decided that we were going to, we hear all this negative stuff about politicians and government. We decided we were going to talk about what we're doing good. We do a lot of good as Americans, and I don't think we talk enough about that. But at any rate, let's talk a little bit about this relief effort. Describe in general what you think the condition is. I mean, we've had lots of description in Haiti and what Americans should be doing, and then we'll talk about, specifically what y'all are doing in the state system.
Well, obviously the tragedy in Haiti has been horrendous, and I think that everybody has seen a lot of the coverage of the things coming out, and we know that it is going to take a long, long time for the country to recover. I mean, the infrastructure in the country is in terrible shape. So we are very concerned about it, and we try to do the best we can. So a lot of people on campus and across the system overall, students, faculty, staff, they want to do something positive to help the people in Haiti. So we think that we could do it in a two-way form. First, just immediate needs, collecting money basically, and helping with in any way that we can to send some money to Haiti for immediate relief. But we also want to do a much long-term involvement, and this is something that the 14 schools have been talking together, the 14 presidents, the 14 things, and the chancellor's office.
Let's sort of, you bring up 2 points. Let's sort of talk about the last point first, and that is, now, universities across the country, and I think your university, you've had sort of ongoing programs down there anyway.
Yes.
What were those programs about? Is it about meeting the needs of, Haiti's, one of the poorest countries in Latin America? Go ahead.
Yeah, well, Haiti is the poorest country in Latin America, and we have had everything from students volunteering to help doing alternative spring break things and projects in Haiti, to people working in schools, to people doing, all sorts of things, nursing help or whatever in hospitals, all sorts of.
So they're not just going down to do those parties down in the Caribbean. You're trying to get them to say there's some important, serious things. Right? Go ahead.
There are some really important, serious things, and our students actually do a lot of really good things, and that is, so involvement in places like Haiti in the past have been very important for them and continue to be. So when something like this happens, I think that we have to take advantage of that goodwill that our students have and move them in the direction that they want to do, that is, make something that will be meaningful. And since, as you know so well, our tradition has been normal schools, teachers' colleges, and we have been always concerned about education.
And public service has been kind of a hallmark of a lot of public universities, and particularly the state system universities.
And we do a lot of public service, and that is a part of these things. So what we're trying to do is, once we get over the initial stage of emergency and get past this moment that we're just trying to help with desperate needs, we should be engaged in a long-term relationship with Haiti. And what we are thinking of doing is probably adopting a school in Haiti, so that it will be something that we can be doing on the long run, and will be an important thing.
And educators being involved in schools, it's sort of a natural fit. You have the expertise. You don't have to.
Absolutely.
It's not like you have to go out and put a lot of money in training people. You already know how people learn. You already, you train teachers.
We train teachers. We still have, by and large, 30% of our students are still involved in education. So the state system is the largest producer of teachers in the Commonwealth. So it makes a lot of sense that we would work in school.
So another way to think about it is that this horrendous disaster could lead, good things come out of bad moments. I think you would agree. Good things can come out of horrific experiences. So your point would be that one of the good things that could come out of this is that there could be these permanent relationships established that would assist Haiti, that not just in the immediate relief, but in schools and in medical assistance and in all kinds of social services. That
absolutely.
Go ahead.
Absolutely, you're absolutely right. I mean, I think that it's hard to think of any silver lining to a catastrophic event like Haiti. But if we can really start helping in a more concerted way and involving the grassroots on our campuses in the relief efforts, I think that would be a way that we can make a difference.
All right, we're chatting with the president of Kutztown University about the Haitian relief effort. I want to talk about, when we're going to go to break, we got to pay some bills. But when we come back, I want to talk a little bit about the money and how people give it, and some concerns that folks have, because I think the way you're handling it makes a lot of sense, and we want to talk about that. And we'll get back to you after these words.
This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is brought to you by Pennsylvania Credit Union Association. Pennsylvania Credit Unions, where people are worth more than money. To find a credit union that is right for you, check out ibelong.org. And by the Energy Association of Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania's energy information source. This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is presented by the State System of Higher Education. 14 state-owned universities. The state system is the largest provider of higher education in Pennsylvania. and by the Hospital and Health System Association of Pennsylvania, working towards a healthy Pennsylvania.
Hi, welcome back. I'm chatting with the president of Kutztown University. We're talking about the Haitian relief effort, and before we get into some other things, Mr. President, there is now a Haitian relief fund, and that is through the State System Foundation.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes, we have established, or the Chancellor's Office with the State System Foundation has established a specific fund that we're going to be directing all the money that we collect there centrally, so they will be centrally allocated. It is very important to keep in mind that the money that we contribute, we have to make sure that it goes to where we intend it to go. And
you knew where I was going to head with this, right? I mean, a lot of Americans want to give. I mean, we're pretty generous people, but
Absolutely.
We want to make sure that go ahead.
And there are some legitimate organizations, as you know, that have been doing this for a long time. Like the Red Cross comes to mind immediately.
Salvation Army, Mennonite Central Committee. All
Catholic charities. I mean, all these organizations really. We know that when we give to them, the money goes to the intent that we want. So when we set this at the state system level, we know that the money that we are collecting will be sent to Haiti directly, and so that is again something that is important for people.
Well, yeah, that is important because I think some of the reluctance of some people to give is predicated on the basis that they want to make sure that it just gets siphoned off, or it goes to administrative costs, or doesn't find its way there. And that's always a concern when you raise quickly large sums of money.
Absolutely. And in this case, by doing it through the central foundation that is already established, that has already all the overhead covered, the money will go to help in Haiti, as in the ways that we want to participate and help them.
All right, before I want to stay on this in this segment on one other aspect of the relief. It's interesting that you find some people like sort of jetting in or flying in, and is the real problem now that manpower, getting enough people there? I mean, you're not like sending people. They don't need. That's not.
No, we're not sending people right now. I mean, that actually, I think that it would be counterproductive to send people right now.
Good point.
We have the real experts, the organizations like the Red Cross and the armed forces from the U.S. that have been helping. They know how to do this. That is their job. So we don't want to be on the way. We want to help by sending them money now, and then once this initial huge thing is over and we can start rebuilding, then we can send people in to be engaged. When we will not be in the way, and we will make sure that we are helping instead of interfering with the efforts going on.
And that's part of the long range. I mean, do you envision someday sort of some reciprocity where, I mean, Kutztown and Millersville and Cheney and all I have to mention Millersville, by the way, since I'm former professor. I have to get that into the conversation. But that there'll be reciprocity, that Haitians will come here, and that the relationship will be sort of bilateral?
Yes, absolutely. We already have programs, many of us, as you mentioned at the beginning, that we have programs in schools and things that we have people going back and forth, teachers, etc., that have been there. So ideally, we will have some exchange programs that we will bring some Haitian students to our campuses, either for the full 4 years or for the semester, and send students from our campuses to Haiti as well.
How overwhelming is the poverty and the lack of education in Haiti I mean, it just seems like it's so daunting with hundreds of thousands of people. I mean, it's not like you're dealing with a limited, a relatively small population in a government that's been very badly run for just generations with bad leaders. Go ahead.
Yeah, Haiti is unfortunately the poorest country in Latin America, and it is so sad when something of this magnitude happens that it will strike a country that is so poor.
Yeah.
And the infrastructure is really in really bad shape, is almost non-existent in many cases, and that is a real concern. I mean, the poverty in Haiti is beyond anything that people can imagine unless you actually see it.
And we got vivid pictures of it. I think what's unfortunate is we all. As great a country as we are and as much as we give around the world, we just don't get too focused unless, unfortunately, there's some crisis. All right, we're chatting with the president of Kutztown University. Final segment coming up. We're going to talk a little more about service, learning, and what that concept. It's a very important, not new activity in colleges and universities across the country, but one that's certainly growing by leaps and bounds. Back for the final segment following these messages.
This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is presented by Highmark Blue Shield, changing the way health plans work for business with a variety of plan options for employers and more choices for employees. Information is available at highmark.com. Have a greater hand in your company's health. And by the Pennsylvania Healthcare Association, the future of long-term care. This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is presented by Penn Future, where we believe that every environmental victory grows the economy, and by the Pennsylvania Cyber Charter School, bringing educational innovation and freedom to the children of Pennsylvania.
Hi, I'm with Javier Cevallos. He's the president of Kutztown University. We're talking about the Haitian relief effort. Before I let you go, Mr. President, I want to talk a little bit about service learning. I mean, it's not a new concept, but it's one that's gotten renewed vigor and renewed energy, right, in recent years. What is service learning?
Well, I mean, I guess that for many, many years, students have been involved in volunteer projects and helping, and then at some point somebody decided that it would be a good thing to put it together with a curriculum and actually have service as part of the component of the university, in some cases even with credit. So you have classes that can actually get credit for students to do some specific work that will benefit the community. So it's a way of giving back to the community and also taking advantage of that wonderful volunteering spirit that our students have. They want to be engaged, they want to help. So if we can put it together with this, with that, we created the service learning component.
You know, I think there's another aspect to it too. I mean, in addition to that, they're getting real world experience. I mean, look, you know, as a professor, we all like academics and we want to do, you know, the theory and the scholarship kind, but there's nothing wrong with a little component of hands-on.
Absolutely.
And so even if the students are doing hands-on, they're learning about life, and they also can be learning about a specific kind of assignment, a specific job. Yes, no?
Absolutely, absolutely. And they can do, they can do both. And they can be learning about things, and they can also be engaged in real life in many ways instead of not doing that. One of the typical things that many students have been doing for a number of years now is what we call alternative spring break.
Right.
Instead of going to Florida or Cancun, they actually go to do projects in the Appalachians and, you know, in the Dakotas and different places. And in Haiti, you know, building houses, building places, helping with schools, doing a week of intensive service. It is a wonderful thing, and is a way to really get them engaged and giving back to the world.
Well, look, I want to thank you for coming in. Great job, and keep up the good work. All right, as always, thanks for watching Pennsylvania Newsmakers. I know we didn't do a lot of politics, but guess what? It'll be back next week, and as always, you stay well.